like the hat?
And that, mes amis, is the coq au vin. Can you smell it?
I can.
Of course you cannot. I mean of me. But trust me, the aroma is divine.
Oh.
I know 3 days is a lot of time on one dish, but c'est la cuisine, no?
C'est la cuisine.
My American friend, do you yearn to make the coq au vin?
Oui.
Do not worry. Chef Rene is here to help.
You are?
For only $99.95, I will send you Chef Rene's coq au vin in a box. We will send you from Paris, par avion, everything you need to make the coq au vin. Just think, for only $99.95, you could be having the delicious, fragrant coq au vin for dinner next Friday
It's
night.
like a dream come true.
It is like a dream come true, no?
Oui.
I must confess, supplies are limited.
Oh, no.
So call this number now and have a major credit card in hand. Vive la France! Vive la cuisine! Vive la coq au vin!
Bonjour. Je voudrais acheter un kit de coq du vin. Alrighty. Let's see what we got here. So we got 2 bottles of empty wine. U.S. Customs, some of the contents of your package have been confiscated. Bother, big brother. Well, it's still got a recipe in French. Looks like some wine stains. I'll have to work on that. And I've got a pot, got a nice big pot. Certainly will need that to make coq au vin. Oh yeah, look here, nice big pot. And let's see what else we got. Well, I'm not too good with parler français, but I guess we're ready to aller cuisine here, because not only is coq au vin really fine French fare, it's seriously... Like so much French fare, coq au vin is cuisine de bonne femme, housewife food, or rather farmer's wife food in this case. Now, technically speaking, coq au vin is a fricassee. That is a dish in which poultry pieces are browned in fat, then stewed in a flavorful liquid, usually wine, along with aromatic vegetables, herbs, spices, and whatnot. Looking over Chef Rene's procedure, though, I got to say, there's a lot here I just don't understand. I mean, why does it take 4 days to make this? Why do you need 4 liters of wine? Why do you need salted but unsmoked pork? And why do you need a 2-year-old rooster and all of its blood? Oh well, you can't challenge the French on these things, so I guess we might as well get this over with. Come on. Hey, Mr. Rooster. Time to learn about your place on the old food chain, okay? Okay. Nice rooster. You didn't want to see me kill the rooster anyway, did you? No, of course not. Let's go to the grocery store, okay? Now, why would a classic dish like coq au vin call for a tough old rooster? Because the average 17th century French country housewife had roosters, okay? And when one of them was no longer capable of performing its roosterly duties, she needed a dish to justify doing away with the old guy, right? Now, such a dish would certainly take advantage of the rooster's fully developed physiology, right? Including a considerable amount of connective tissue. Now, take a look around the poultry case at your local market, and odds are you're not going to find any rooster. Rooster? Didn't think so. Okay, the next best thing would be a stewing hen. A stewing hen is a chicken that is about usually a year of age. It's kind of retired from laying eggs, so they're pretty tough. Stewing hens? Some specialty markets carry them, but truth is, most Americans like their chicken young, tender, and relatively flavorless. So what sells are broiler fryers and roasters. Now, broilers are typically harvested around 12 weeks of age, and roasters aren't much older. Of course, neither comes close to giving us the kind of flavor or texture that we would get from a stewing bird or a rooster. So, for this dish, we're going to go with the next best thing: thighs and legs. Thighs and legs, 4 of each, please. They don't have a lot of age on them, granted, but they've got more connective tissue and flavor than anything else in this case. Thank you very much. Oh, say, you wouldn't happen to have a pint of chicken blood back there, would you? Never hurts to ask. While we're on the subject of less than common meatstuffs, it appears that we're going to need some salt pork. Now, there are a couple of different kinds of salt pork, but they're all cut from the belly, like bacon. In fact, some of it's got so much lean on it that it looks like a blob of bacon. But the really, really good salt pork looks more like this. Yes, that appears to be mostly fat. There's a little bit of lean in there, but it's mostly fat. But that's okay, because we're only using a little bit and only for flavor. And there's a lot of flavor in here. Now, the difference between salt pork and bacon is that salt pork is cured and dried, but never, ever smoked, the way bacon is. Now, if you can't find salt pork, you can use thick cut or slab-style bacon, but it'll never be the same. Next on the list, pearl onions. Just like their full-sized cousins, pearl onions come in red, yellow, and white, which is what we're going to use today because it is traditional. Now, I know what you're thinking. No dish is worth having to peel all these wee little onions. But don't worry, there's more than one way to skin an onion. Just snip off the root end and then cut a deep V into the bottom. Drop them into boiling water for 1 minute. Remove and cool until you can just handle them. Then you can just squirt them out of their skins. Très simple. Yay. We're also going to need 8 ounces of button mushrooms and the usual mirepoix lineup. 1 onion, a couple of carrots, and a few ribs of celery. And of course, it wouldn't be coq au vin without some vin. Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me.
Can I help you with something?
Well, I'm looking for wine to cook with.
Oh, okay. Take a deep breath. What are you going to cook?
Chicken stew. Fricassee. Coq au vin.
I can help you. I'm a wine guy. And here's what we need to understand about wine. When we cook with it, it changes. And if I had some kind of model to represent this, I could show it to you.
A visual aid?
Yeah.
I'll be right back. Behold, the components of wine.
Okay, well, there's actually a few hundred components of wine. But this will work. We can work with this.
Okay.
All right. Now, we're going to be dealing with a red wine for this dish. Okay. And as such, we want to start out with a profile representing these little tubes here of what the wine will look like once it's cooked. The alcohol is going to have evaporated. Let's call this the water, which is 80% of wine to start with, and it's going to be forming a lot of the body of our sauce.
So we want to keep some of it.
What's going to happen with our good fruit character in our finished sauce is it's going to have concentrated, and it's a big part of our dish. Let's call this our tannin, and we're dealing with a red wine here, so it has a tannic presence.
The astringent quality. Okay.
Right. And what we want to do is de-emphasize the tannin because it could give kind of a metallic taste to the sauce. That's our finished cooked profile.
This is what I want to have at the end. What is it going to look like at the beginning?
Out of the bottle, we're going to have our water increase, of course, because it hasn't evaporated yet. Our alcohol is also going to be higher. Our fruit character is not as concentrated, and our tannin is going to be slightly higher as well.
So, there's my wine. That's what I need. So, what does that mean in here?
Okay, the profile of this wine is a Pinot Noir.
Okay, now that's a type of grape, and I know they grow that in like California, Washington, Europe, all over the place. How do I know which one to get?
Well, it is grown all over, okay? There are certain places that are better than others. Oregon and California do a great job, but its home is Burgundy.
The very same place the coq au vin originated.
Exactly.
But I don't want to spend too much money.
You don't have to. This is a competitive market wine, okay? You can find deals everywhere. Okay. I particularly like the red Burgundies, as they're known.
Yes. How much?
$10 to $12 is what you're looking at.
And it's French?
It is
And it's
French.
shaped like this?
It looks like this, and it also ties in very well with the flavors of our sauce.
So I can cook with this, and I can drink it at the same time?
At the same time, yes.
I'm sold. Thanks a lot for your help, wine guy. By the way, the table's yours, but they need to eat twice a day. Recipe calls for lardons, which is French for fat, short matchsticks or elongated cubes. And trust me when I tell you that these are easier to fabricate when the fat is frigid. So consider storing your salt fat in the freezer to keep it firm. You're going to slice down this way into quarter-inch slices, and then we will stack those up and cut them into long strips this way. And then we'll cut them into thirds. But if we just dump these into a pan and turn on the heat, they're going to burn before they give up their liquid love. So we turn the heat to medium and add a couple of tablespoons of water to the pan. Now, while that does its thing, 5 or 10 minutes, we'll deal with the chicken. Lay out your chicken pieces on a rack and season liberally with salt and pepper. Next, grab yourself a zip-top bag and fill it with 1/4 to 1/2 cup of all-purpose flour. Then simply add the chicken pieces, 1 to 2 pieces at a time, seal up the bag, and give it a shake to coat. It's fun for the whole family. Just let them sit and air dry. This is going to help bond the flour to the skin. As you can see, a good bit of fat has come out of the pork, and the lardon have shriveled up a good bit. So it's time to get rid of the water now. Just leave the lid off, and when the bubbling's over, you'll know that the water is gone. As you can see, we've got a good bit of fat here, so it's time to do some browning. We're going to start with our peeled onions. Just toss those in, make sure the heat stays on medium, and try keeping them moving at least 50% of the time until their wee little bodies are all golden brown. Next, we will bring up the chicken. Now, the big thing about the chicken is that you do not want to crowd the pan, okay? 3 to 4 pieces tops, and don't go moving it around, okay, or it'll stick. You don't want that. Oh, and don't touch the heat knob, okay? You don't need high heat to brown things. Just leave it on medium. Take about 4 to 5 minutes on each side. Oh, and if you've got one of these handy-dandy splatter guards, I advise that you implement it at this time. If you ask me, there's no reason not to move the chicken directly to your enamel vessel or Dutch oven or even crock pot, but that's another show. Go ahead and line this vessel with 2 ribs of celery, 2 carrots, and 1 onion that have all been quartered, along with 6 to 8 fresh sprigs of thyme, 3 cloves of garlic crushed, and 1 bay leaf. Now, this is going to provide kind of the aromatic base on which we will lay our chicken. Well, don't watch if it bothers you. Sensitive for a bird. Actually, that's not quite enough fat in the pan, so we'll add just a little pat of butter and then pour on 8 ounces of quartered button mushrooms. Now, why cook more vegetation after we cook the chicken? Because these mushrooms are going to act like little sponges, and they're going to soak up a good bit of that fat and the flavor. There certainly wouldn't be enough here to cook the chicken afterwards, okay? I'll just let this cook over medium heat until the mushrooms are golden brown and delicious. About 5 minutes. After your mushrooms are done, dump them into a zip-top bag along with the onions and pork lardon. Let them cool on the counter for about 10 minutes, then seal and stash in your refrigerator. Now, back to our pan. Pour off any excess fat, and I usually do this onto some paper towels so I can throw it away. There, put it back on the heat. Now, you see this nastiness? The French call that fond, and without this chemically complex, crusty pan scab, French cuisine probably wouldn't exist at all. What we have to do is get that off of the pan and into the food, and the best way to do this is to dissolve it via deglazing with a cup of flavorful liquid, like, say, a cup of our burgundy. Here we go. Oh, I forgot to add that it's important to do this off the heat. Otherwise, you get a lot of flames. Why does this happen? Well, it helps to know a little bit about alcohol. let's say for a moment that this is a sample droplet of wine, just an average red wine, which is generally 60 to 20 proof. Now that means it contains somewhere in the neighborhood of 8 to 10% ethyl alcohol, or ethanol, which is being portrayed here by the little red Christmas ornaments, and the clear ones are, water, sugar, other stuff like that. Now, at room temperature, this ethanol is not flammable. It's just completely, harmless. But when the temperature goes up and hits 172.4 degrees Fahrenheit, the ethanol starts to turn to vapor. And once it's airborne, believe me, it is very flammable indeed. So, kill the flames before deglazing with wine or spirits, okay? And if you're not going to do it for me, well, do it for your insurance agent. And now we complete the liquid phase. We take our deglazing liquid and we add to it 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. To add to the chickeny essence and to give us a little more body, 2 cups of chicken broth. Next but not least, the rest of our 2 bottles of Burgundy. Straight in. And we lid. This pot now moves to the refrigerator for, well, at least overnight. Now, Chef Renee's instructions clearly state that marinating the meat will tenderize the rooster. Chicken. This is a big, fat culinary lie, which we will deal with on another episode. What's really happening here is that the flavors are going to meld. The brown chicken, the wine, the aromatics are all kind of slowly intermingling with one another, and that's why it's going to take a little bit of time for that process. Now, let's review, shall we? Our steps so far. Let's see, my translation is Chef Renee. Oh, yeah, I'm working on it. Chef Renee says, well, you know what? I'm getting a little bit tired of what Chef Renee says. Look, this is what we've done. Just give me a minute. We've cooked some chunks, right? We've got the onions, the mushrooms, and the pork, which we have set aside in a baggie, right? And on the other side of the equation, we browned some chicken. And we threw in some aromatics and some wine, and we currently have that marinating. 2 separate operations, which can be done 2, 3, even 4 days ahead of time. So all of these steps all of a sudden look a little more reasonable because we can divide it up over time. I got to get out of here for a while. You naughty, wicked rooster. I cannot believe you chased McGregor's dog across the street like that. It was actually kind of funny. But yeah, I got to live here. So you just go in your room and think about what you did. I'm going to go cook a chicken. Oh, well, it is the next day, and we certainly had time for this to marinate. So straight out of the refrigerator and straight into the oven, which we will then set to bake at 325 degrees. Now, grab your kitchen timer and set it for about 2 hours. That should be just enough time for the liquid not only to cook the chicken, but to dissolve the collagen into gelatin so that the stew has a nice finger-licking good texture. Now, times will vary depending on your chicken, your pot, and your oven, but you'll get a look at it in a few minutes. Oh, and every hour or so, open the lid and poke around. Make sure that the chicken stays submerged. Now, if you'll excuse me, I got to wash this chickeny hand. Mes amis, allow me to present the Cuckoo vin. Can you smell it? Of course you cannot. How mean of me. Now, we strain. Now, first step, download the chicken. I just like to put this into a big foil pouch so that I can put it back in the oven and use the residual heat to keep this warm. Yes, I'm certain this is very upsetting to you, but this is what happens to bad little roosters. Now this, we will drain, and I just have a colander sitting on a saucier. You could use any heavy saucepan or sauce pot. And as for the remaining vegetables, believe me, they have given their all. But I can't think of one thing to do with them besides throw them down the garbage disposal. Time to build the sauce. We put our cooking liquid in the saucier over high heat and bring this to a boil reduced by 1/3, which will take probably a half hour depending on your cooktop and your pan. How do you know you've reduced it by 1/3? Simple. Just take a spoon like this, stick into the vessel so that you see how deep it is, and just kind of move that rubber band down to mark that level, kind of like that. Then you'll be able to come back, measure it again, and you'll know how much 1/3 is. Cool. Well, I'd say that we have most certainly reduced by a third, and we'll give it a taste. Good wine flavor, definitely chickeny, and there's definitely some gelatin there, lip-smacking goodness indeed. Now it is time to retrieve the chunks, which we will add directly to the sauce, like this. We will give it a stir, and we will allow this to cook for another 15 minutes, and then we dine. No? Oui. Pour the sauce over the warm chicken and serve over egg noodles, and you've got yourself a big old bowl of France. So what have we learned? Well, I think we've learned that we need not send off for some fancy schmancy French chef's marketing ploy just to get our fricassee fix. We've also learned that coq au vin is a complex classic that can indeed fit into a modern American lifestyle. And if you ask me, that qualifies it as good eats. Oh, and we also learned that roosters make lousy indoor pets. See you next time.